Okay guys, I would like to tell you something. Many people ask me, how did you start with property? It's not that I started as a property investor. It is just something that happened over time. But I must say the first house that I bought is actually the one that made me think about things a different way than it would have been the case with another house. It's actually the house itself and the deal itself that was actually the big thing. Those days I was in my late 20s, lived in Springs those days, and in a flat. And I had two boys, and the oldest one was 2 years old at that stage. And we lived on the second floor of apartment block in Springs. Guys, that's not a place to raise two busy boys, that I can assure you. Stairs that you have to be careful of and all those things, and leaning out of the window and all those. So my wife and I decided, no, it's time now to get a house so that they can have a place where they can play and so on. Right, so we started looking for a house. Never had a house before, and spoke to an estate agent. And I said to the estate agent, listen, I don't think I can afford a house, but I would like to rent a house then at least, if I cannot buy it. And I said to him also, I can also not spend more on a house per month than what I pay for the flat at the moment. And he said, no problem, you'll find one for me. And I paid for the flat about something like 240 rands a month. It was the rent those days. I'm talking about 1983 now. And within a week or two, the agent came back and he said, right, he found the ideal house for me. And he showed me the house, made an appointment, went out there, big stand, big house, 3-bedroom house, and nice big garden for the boys to play. Right, I said, this is it. What is the rent per month? He said, no, it is not a rent per month. You are buying the house. I said, what? I don't have money to buy the house. He said, no, don't worry. You only pay what you pay for the flat at the moment, which was about 240 rand, if I remember correctly. He said, that'll be your payment per month. I said, okay. And so I moved in. I bought the house for 240 rand per month. So I didn't know anything about property at that stage, nothing. I didn't know about registration and taking transfer and all those things. And I must say the house was in a bit neglected at that stage. It was actually quite neglected. It needed paint, seriously. But nothing structural wrong with it. And so on. So I moved in and I started fixing the house. Fix the garden, paint the house and all those things. And then one day I thought by myself, I never ever received any contract or any papers confirming that it is now my house. I did sign an offer those days, and the offer was accepted, but the offer is not saying much. On the documentation that I have, I don't have the real documentation. That's what I thought. So I went back to the estate agent and said, okay, that house that I bought. He said, yes, do you enjoy it? I said, yes, I love it. He said, but I'm concerned. When will I get the papers to prove that it is now my house? When do I take transfer? Because I heard that word in the meantime, that you have to take transfer. And that is the thing that concerned me. I didn't take transfer. And he said, no, you don't have to worry about that. I said, why not? He said, because you bought that house on the ALA method. I said, what? What is that? He said, that means that the owner is actually giving you a bond, a mortgage on it, the seller. So you're the new owner now, you're the buyer, and he's the seller. And he gave you the bond. You are paying that money to him every month for 10 years. You have to do that. You have to pay that payment. And I said, is it increasing every year? I said, no, it's the same amount, stays the same for 10 years. And then after 10 years, you can take transfer. Now, I bought that house, guys, for 22,000 rand. That is what the big 3-bedroom house in Springs cost those days, in Selection Park in Springs. And the house is still there today. So I bought it for 22,000 rand. I heard about the method that I don't have to worry. And 10 years I take transfer, and that is it. So I lived there. But I did my calculations and I realized that it is unlikely that I will pay 10,000 rand off in 10 years. If there's no interest and nothing else to be paid and so on. But anyways, young, only 28 years old those days. You're not worried about those things. You are fearless. So fixed the house, and the house was so nice after I fixed it. And a year later, I went back to the agent and I said to the agent, listen, can I sell this house? And he said, yes, you can sell it. Whenever the contract says you can sell it, the ALA contract. I said, okay, I want to sell it. You see, there I learned about ALA for the first time without even knowing that I'm learning something that most other people do not know. I was fortunate enough to buy my first house with an ALA contract. I'll tell you a little bit more about it now. And he said, yes, you can sell it. I said, what can I get for it? He said, let's try 44,000. What, are you crazy? I paid for it 22,000. He said, yeah, but you bought a bargain. You fix it nicely. I said, but I didn't spend that kind of money here to make it worth double the value. He said, no, it doesn't matter. And it was within a week or two, he brought a buyer. So we sold the house. And that guy bought it with a bank mortgage, and he took transfer from the guy that I bought it from. I was just in between. So of that 44,000 that he paid for it, 22,000 of that, or what was left of it, let's say 21,500, was paid to the seller, the guy that sold it to me in the beginning. And the profit, the 22,000 profit was mine. Wow, it was so easy. And then I bought another one, and another one, and another one. And there was a stage that I had 6 of them simultaneously. In Springs, I bought the old mine houses, fixed them, sold them. That was a roaring business, but bad for tax. I made profits, and I had to pay tax on it. Okay, let's quickly, the ALA method. It is a law that was promulgated in 1982, the year before I bought, enabling people to buy on this basis. Before that law was promulgated, you had to get a bank mortgage. Otherwise, it was not a legal transaction. So ALA was a different thing. I did seminars about ALA and so on. I'll teach you in future what it means. So don't worry about it too much now. All I want you to know is sometimes it is a huge benefit not to worry too much about the detail. Just make sure the basics are in place. It is your place. You are the one that is making the rules there and so on. But that was a blessing for me to buy that on that basis.